Well, this video is going to be a follow-up to the video on food plot rifles, and in particular this 7mm Remington Magnum Ruger No. 1 has always showed a tendency, a preference for clean barrels. And when I was shooting it yesterday, of course, you had a strong wind and an unsteady rest out here in the Quigley. And the accuracy caused me want to question it. So I go in and I give it a mild cleaning, and I mean a mild cleaning. I just used mineral spirits and a bronze brush, made a few passes with the bronze brush, dried it out with a patch, and that's it. So I'm going to shoot one shot for a fouling shot, and then another one, or maybe even two, at 100 yards to see where it's at 100 yards. Then I'm going to take my time between shots and let the barrel cool and fire it up there at 250 yards at the food plot, right at the food plot. So let's see. Got to get this rifle rest adjusted just right. Take the time it takes to get your rifle steady on rest. Don't be trying to wrestle it into position. Get it to where it'll just sit there like it's steady as a rock. That's what you want to do. You don't want to have to try to wrestle it into position. You'll never get very good accuracy doing that. Alright, here goes the fouling shot, so let's see where it goes. Fouling shot went pretty close to where it's supposed to be. Let's try one more. This will be, see what it's doing. All right. Check the spot and scope. Because of the lack of ammo, I'm going to stop right there. Looks good. The fouling shot and the regular shot are very, very tight, very close together. So I'm going to start the 250 yard stuff. Get this bench rest set back up for that longer range. I might order to mark that thing so don't have to use the trial and error. I just set it up and go right back to what's right. A little bit too high. A little bit too, no, not much, but just a tiny little bit. Drop my sandbag. Okay, let's see. See if I can get on target. Right there. Oh yeah. It's amazing difference in how much steadier it is shooting from here. $250 yards. Take a peek at my spotting scope. That first shot, 250 yards, looks good. It's just a tiny bit right and below the bullseye. Very little bit. It's pretty much close to being dead on at that distance. We'll let it rest and try it again in a few minutes. Well, like I've stated several times before, I am not a fan of the super cleaners. My brother and I, we've tested several accurate rifles and run these super cleaners through them, and without fail, every last one of the accuracy went to pop. So far, we've been able to get the accuracy back, but by doing an enormous amount of shooting. And if you'll go to Gun Blue 490, he kind of explains all that copper fouling stuff, you know, why not to be concerned about it, because basically it's not the problem everybody thinks it makes it out to be. It's just not. But anyway, and also you need to learn your individual rifle. Every rifle is a law to itself, and every rifle will show certain quirks or certain characteristics. This one, this beautiful Ruger #1 medium sporter in 7mm Magnum, definitely shows a preference for clean barrels. It definitely does. It's an accurate, super accurate rifle, and so the accuracy, okay, shoot your gun till the accuracy begins to fall off, and then clean it. But then clean it with as mild a cleaner as you can get. And so I thought the accuracy may be beginning to wane just a little bit on this one. So I went in this morning and I cleaned it with mineral spirits and a bronze brush. Made a few patches of the brush, then dried the bore out with a few patches, and that's it. And now I'm just shooting for record. In other words, I'm going to have me a target for any rifle that I might be using out here in the Quigley, that I'm going to be might be using that to hunt this fall, and particularly over that food plot 250 yards away. I want to have a target that I have shot, and I know exactly where those bullets are, and I'll keep that out there in the Quigley with me. So whatever gun that I'm taking out there, I look at the target and say, yeah, buck comes out right there, I need to hold like this. So that's what I'm doing right now. And of course your shots at game's going to be out of a cold barrel. So I have cleaned this, like I said, I've mildly cleaned it, run one fouling shot through it, and to check it at 100 yards, make sure it's pretty close where it's supposed to be at 100 yards, and the fouling shot, and the following shot, the one right after that, was right there at 2.5 or so inches high to 100 yards. I would prefer it be an absolute perfect 3 inches high to 100 yards, but my goodness, I am not. With the scarcity of ammo, sometimes if you make that slight little adjustment, you try to move it that little half inch, it'll move a mile. So I'm not going to mess with it. 2.5 inches is good. Anywhere from 2.5 to 3.5 is good enough. All practical purposes, you can consider it 3 inches high. And that first shot was almost dead on that cold barrel. So let's fire another one and see what that's going to do. But it really is quite nice shooting off this really super steady rest. And the wind's not howling like it was yesterday. The wind's blowing a little bit, but it's nothing like it was yesterday. Check it. Spot and scope. Okay, those two shots. Like I said, I've got a little bit of a breeze, and it's basically left to right. And the two bullets are about a half an inch to the right of where I'd really like for them to be, and they're about a half inch low, which, if I had plenty of components, bullets and powders and all that, then I would work to get that at 100 yards on up that other half inch, which would make a bit of a difference out there. In other words, instead of being low, I should, at 250 yards, to be really where I really want it to be, it should be just a little bit high, just a tiny bit high at 250 yards. But right now, it's looking like it's a little tiny bit low, but that's plenty good enough. My goodness gracious. I've still got the point blank range of 300 yards, period. But I would prefer it be almost on at 300 yards rather than almost on at 250. But that's going to require a little bit of shooting, quite a bit of shooting. Matter of fact, to make that slight little bit adjustment. But I'm not at this late stage in the scarcity and the cost of ammo. I'm just not going to do it. I'm going to leave it right where it is because it's still plenty good enough. It's not as perfect as I'd like for it to be, but it's plenty good enough. Those two bullet holes are within a half inch of each other at 250 yards, so that's plenty good enough accuracy. The last two really good bucks that I got last year were dropped at about that distance. One just maybe a few yards less than that, and the other one a few yards more than that. One was probably dropped at about 240, 230, 40 yards, and the other one about 280, 290. Two good bucks dropped with it. So the rifle's fine. At any point, any place on this farm, now we've got shots up to 340 yards. I can pretty much hold dead on and kill the deer because it'll be well within the point blank range of this rifle, and certainly within the accuracy potential of it. It's a fine rifle to say the least. You know, I've had this rifle for many, many years and had it zeroed in 3 inches high at 100 yards with Nosler AccuBomb. It stayed that way for years without changing. Then last year, a couple of friends come out and they were zeroing their rifles, and I thought, well, I better check this rifle. It's always stayed where it's supposed to be, so I thought I'd check it anyway. And I shot it, and it was accurate, still accurate. Bullet holes are pretty much touching at 100 yards, but it's 2 inches. 2 inches high, not 3 inches high. And I thought, what in the world? So I made a couple of adjustments, and I got it up to 2.5 inches high. I never did get it quite up to 3 inches high because, quite frankly, I didn't have the ammo to do it. I mean, I only had a few rounds of ammo left for the hunting season. And my gosh, you couldn't find the powder, you couldn't find primers, you certainly couldn't find Nosler AccuBombs, couldn't find anything that I needed. So I left it 2.5 inches high last year. And I just did, this year later, I just did get me a box of 50 AccuBonds. But now I'm so low on the powder that I need, you can't afford just to, can't afford to take a chance to try to move it on up at this time. Whenever I've got an adequate supply of bullets and powder, then I will get this thing back to 3 inches high, 100 yards. But what I think happened was I got a different batch of powder. And I'm using Reloader 22. And I got a different batch of powder. And with that different batch of powder, the point of impact changed a little bit. Thank goodness the accuracy didn't go to pieces like it often does if you get a different lot of powder. The accuracy has remained, but the point of impact changed. And that's the only thing that I can think of that caused it to shift that 1 inch at 100 yards. And it shifted when I went to a new batch of powder, so that has to be, I think, what it is anyway. But anyway, I'd used enough of that powder for in this gun and other guns and testing it. I've got precious little of it left, so I've got a few AccuBonds, and I can load me up a few, maybe a half a dozen rounds for this year if I need them. I've got enough Reloader 22 to do that, but I do not have enough to light into moving that up that 1/2 inch, which I'd like for it to be. And I will get it there. May not be this year, but I will get it there. All right, the barrel has cooled down a little bit, so going to fire. It's going to be the third and final shot today through it. Whatever it is, it is. All right, check the spot scope. Well, it fired a beautiful little tiny clover leaf out there at 250 yards. It is a touch, like I said, a tiny bit low and a tiny bit right, but it's staying right there for this season. I mean, my goodness, it's good. The accuracy's good. The accuracy's real good on it. So I will go in. Or put this one up. Not going to clean or anything else. Going to put it up. It's ready for the season. Then I'm going to go in and take my little Ruger No. 1 International 7x57, give it a mild cleaning, and come out and test it again. But right now, this one's looking good. And Brother Doug just drove up. He's going to, I think he said he had a 30-30 he wanted to shoot, and I believe it's an old Winchester 30-30 he wants to shoot. And I think he said a 22 Magnum maybe. And I've got, what have I got? I got 5 loaded rounds. It's out of the same everything, same batch of powder and everything else, so I just did my shooting. So these will be my primary 5 to go into this deer season with, and then I will load up a few more. But these will be my primary 5. These 3 here, they're going to, 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever of these are going to get my bucks this year. And now we come to the second rifle for the day. And I'm sure some of you recognize this. This is the little Ruger No. 1 International 7x57. This is probably hands down my favorite rifle of all rifles I've got now. I mean, I like every rifle I got, I wouldn't have them. But I especially like Ruger No. 1s and Savage 99s. I mean, I especially like those. But of all the guns I've got, this little Ruger #1, International, in 7x57, it is a classic looking rifle, chambered in a classic cartridge. It's an awesome little devil. It's also my lucky rifle. If I take it, usually something's going down. So I'm going to shoot it at 100 and 250 and we'll see what happens. And there again, I cleaned the barrel, give it a light cleaning. And I'm going to fire right now. This first one will be pretty much a fouling shot. But we'll see where she goes. It'll be fired at 100 yards. And we'll have to adjust that press down a little bit. So here goes the fouling shot. Well, it will be when I get the rest lowered enough. Yeah, that looks good right there. Fouling shot. I'd wandered just a touch to the right on that one. That fouling shot was almost perfect. It's 2 3/4 inches high at 100 yards. All right. Here goes the second shot. There again, like I said, it's this little fellow shooting 160 grain Nosler AccuBomb. Let's see where number 2 goes. Check the spot and scope. Pretty much 3 inches high at 100 yards. So I'm going to let it cool and then move out to that 250. I'm going to move out to the food plot distance, which is 250 yards. Wind's kind of light, so I don't want to wait too long. I want that little lightweight barrel to cool off though. Alright, I'm going to fire 3 very slowly, let it cool between shots. Because when you get a shot at, if I get a shot at deer, well, it's going to be out of a cold barrel, so you want to make sure I fire 3 out of a cold barrel at food plot distance, which is 250 yards in this case. There's one. Okay. That shot. That shot is dead nuts right, windage wise, and probably 1 inch low. Okay, we're gonna go for shot number 2 at 250 yards. A little bit of breeze, not much. Maybe pull that a little bit to the right. Well, in the spot and scope, I can't tell where it went. I think I pulled it a little bit to the right, but it felt like it went a little bit to the right. Sights weren't exactly right when it went off, so we'll let her cool. Fire one more. So here we go now with what'll be my third and final shot out of this one today. And I did throw that second one off. I mean, it was off a little bit low and left. All right, third and final shot. That one looked pretty good. For some reason, the 757 accuracy at 250 is not up to par, so we'll come back to 100, check it again. I might find out what's going on with this. This little rifle's always accurate. I got to do a little bit of experimenting and I need to clean it again and see what's going on here. It's not, or maybe I just need to shoot it a little more. I don't know. The first shots of a clean barrel were the best, but I've got 2 more bullets. That's all I got left of the loaded up for it, so I might as well see where in the world they're going and what's happening with these. I don't know. So I'm going to fire 2 more at 250. Just see what the dickens is going on here. 0 is fine, but the accuracy is off. I don't know if it needs to be shot or cleaned, but needs a little something. Always something. This little rifle has never given me a problem. But there's something not quite right now. I gotta figure that out. Well, our next victim is the Browning BLR 7mm 08, which did pretty good yesterday. Oh. Well, get her all loaded up here. What it don't have is a real light, crisp trigger. I'm really not sure whether it was a good idea or not, but I went in the house and gave it a little light cleaning. The accuracy definitely seems to have fallen off. So let's just see. This be the fouling shot after a light cleaning. Fouling shot was almost perfect, 3 inches high at 100 yards. 3 inches high at 100 and 3/4 inches apart. Let her cool for a minute and we'll go back to the 250 again. I'm going to try something here that I've never tried. Rather than holding in the center of that circle, which is, you can see what you're doing, I'm going to try to hold on the top of the circle. Since it's dropping them a little low, and just see if I can possibly drop them down in that target. So I'm going to hold as best I can. It's not a precise aim point, but I'm going to try to hold right on the top of that target. Just to see what happens. Whew. Let's see what happened there. Gee, oh, Crownelli, that hit right where I was aiming. I won't do that no more. For that little shot, my God, she's dead on. Almost dead on at 250. I can't do that no more. Alright, back to 250 with a dead center hold this time. Now let's see where they go. Where we at? Okay. Looking fine, looking fine. All right, here goes what I hope to be the third and final shot here. Out there at 250. We'll see. Well, I'll have to ride up there and look at the target in a minute. I can't actually find that bullet hole with the spine scope. We'll see. Well, now it's 30-06 time. 30-06 at 100 yards. Fouling shot. What a nice trigger after that BLR trigger. Fouling shot, almost perfect. Let's see. Off to the right a little bit. So one more. One more to 100. I think that likes a little bit of a dirty barrel. The accuracy seems to be coming around. So one more at 100. And I need to probably work up a little bit more accurate load for this rifle, but it's doing okay. It's not great. It ain't bad either, so just let it cool down. And we'll fire it up there at the long range. Back to the food plot distance, 250 yards. I think this rifle prefers a bit of a dirty barrel. Let's see where that went. Let's burn cool off a little bit. go ahead and fire this third and final round. It's looking pretty good. Cattle are starting to come over, and we got company flying in. We got to meet at the airport. Let's see. May not should have fired that one. I don't know where they're at. Where that one went, but I got to ride up there and get my target. Take a close look at it and see what's going on. Well, actually, I did a right fair amount of shooting after that last little segment. And I finally got all these 4 guns pretty much well on. And I've got my target of record for each one up. Anyway, my 7mm mag, I know that it's 1 inch high, 250 yards. My 7.57 is pretty much the same. It's maybe a ½ inch high at the food plot distance of our 250 yards. My 7mm 08 is a solid 3 inches low at that distance, at that 250 yards. It's a solid 3 inches low. And my 30-06, shooting that 165 grain Hornady fire point, is approximately 1.5 inches low. So no matter what, that's this gun right here. It's 1.5 inches way up, way at zero. It's 1.5 inches low at 250 yards. And I actually missed a coyote with it. I guess it's yesterday, day before yesterday, I reckon. I was said, come out here, just look around. It's archery season right now, and I'm just sitting out here just observing, seeing what's going on around the farm, watching what's happening maybe around the food plot and what have you. And looked up here on the high hill, big coyote come out from the top of the hill. And I had to hurriedly try to get a shot off. Get up here and open the window, move this shooting bench over and all that. And boy, I wish I'd never seen that coyote cutting. Oh my goodness, against my better judgment, I took a shot without putting any ear protection on. And the muzzle of this rifle was over sort of against this window that I had partially opened, which made a perfect thing for the sound to bounce off and come right back. Boy, it popped me in that left ear. It hurt. But anyway, I reckon I just barely clipped the bottom of that coyote's chest. Because he was kind of walking across there, and not going fast at all. He's just walking. I mean. And when the sights went off, where the sights were when he went off, which we should have been good for most the rifles that I would shoot apart, like a 7mm, the 300 or 22-250 and 243 and guns like that. I mean, I wasn't thinking, I just hurriedly shot. And like I said, it's 1.5 inches, 2 inches low at 250 yards. And this shot up there was probably about 280, 285, something like that. And the crosshairs was a little bit below center on that coyote when it went off, so I probably just clipped the bottom of it. So, oh my goodness. So I turned around, and up here just this side of the food plot, which will be about 225 to 30 yards away. A little rock about that big. I got setting up on top of the stump there. Anyway, I pulverized that rock. Because I should have been pretty much dead on at that distance. I held right in the middle of that little rock, and I mean absolutely pulverized it. So I should have remembered to, up there on that coyote, at that kind of distance I need to hold a little bit high. So I should have held high up on him, right near his backbones where I should have held. I mean, the way I've got this thing zeroed, it's not a varmint rifle, for heaven's sake. I mean, it's 165 grain bullet at just shy of 300 yards. And where I've got it, it's zeroed. I mean, on a deer, you're going to have a point blank range. Point blank range is a little over 250 yards. You're going to be probably about almost 275 yards. But on that coyote, I managed to miss him, managed to hit the rock. But anyway, I've got a target of record for all of my rifles that I'll be, the 4 rifles that I'm likely to be using out here in the quickly this season. I've got a target of record for all of them. So that's good to have. When a deer pops up, I know where they're going to be at the food plot distance and where it's going to be out. The maximum distance that I can generally get a shot from right here is going to be about 335 yards is the absolute most. But 335 yards, get a good idea of where they're all going to be. A bullet from each one of them's going to be. So I reckon that as far as the rifles and the loads are concerned, I reckon I'm ready for the deer season. Talk soon.